Today I'm going to talk about what you need to know about remote tuning. It's a fairly new thing that you will pretty much be looking at this video if you have gotten a Mega Squirt, Speedo Inu, or maybe the new one. I forget what it's called. It comes from England, but it replaces the ECU in your stock ECU housing. The thing they have in common is that they all use Tuner Studio, and so remote tuning, basically, why do you want to do it? You want to do it because, well, one of the reasons right now is with COVID going on, you really can't get to a dyno to have your car tuned. Usually when you go to a dyno session, it would be usually, like maybe a car club event or something of that nature, or if you go by yourself. If you go to a regular dyno, it's usually pretty expensive. If an hour on an actual dyno will run you maybe about $500. At least that's what it does around where my area is, which is like the Maryland, Virginia, D.C. area. Why do I want to do remote tuning? Me personally, I got the Mega Squirt for my Miata, which has been turbocharged. It's been turbocharged for 20 years. And I decided to get rid of all of the Band-Aids. As far as mechanical experience goes, I've got over 30 years of mechanical experience. I've worked for tuner shops before. I worked for ATI. I worked for Extreme Motorsports back when they were around. And you may ask, well, with all this experience, why aren't you doing your own tuning? And the simple answer is, I'm Gen X. I'm 53 years old, and if you wanted me to tune a string of side draft Weber carburetors and get them in sync, I could do that. But a lot of the computer stuff is, I'll be first to admit it, it's kind of intimidating. The car that it's in is my Garage Queen 1994 Miata. I've done all of the work to the Miata. I've done all the modifications to the Miata. I modify things left and right. I have tons of experience with engine swaps. If you just Google either my name, Chris Rummel, or Rum and Hammer, I'm sure that you'll find out all of my background and experience. So this wasn't something that I wanted to tackle, so to speak. I'm not the most tech savvy, and at the time I actually didn't have a laptop. So that basically explains why I contracted out to do the remote tuning. And quite frankly, it goes a lot faster that way. Instead of trying to hunt and peck and try and figure everything that you have to do with the tuning out, because you gotta figure out the idle, you gotta be able to read the information you're getting from that. And in a nutshell, it's a lot easier for someone like me, and I'm sure if you're watching this video, probably someone like you, to do this. So the amount of experience really doesn't matter. If you're younger and you have more experience with computers, you might be more willing to undergo this yourself. But to me, I would rather just pay someone to do this and have it sorted in a matter of a couple of hours. What do you need to look for in a remote tuner? Well, you're going to want someone who preferably has more than just, I watched a video on YouTube and now I think I'm qualified to tune your car. You're not going to get a lot of people wanting you to tune their car remotely that way. My suggestion is, the guy I have currently tuning my car, I asked him how he got started in it, and he basically said, he got into it, he was good with computers, he started tuning his car, and he started tuning his buddy's car, and he had some friends that lived hundreds of miles away, and they asked him for help, so he decided to start trying his hand at remote tuning. One thing led to another, and now he has a couple years, I think, experience doing this. And what you want to look for is someone who basically, most of the people who are viewing this are probably more than likely going to be running a Mega Squirt or a Speedo Inu. Those are the two most popular ones that run the Tuner Studio. You want somebody who has experience with Tuner Studio, obviously, if you're doing one of those computer systems. and preferably even better than that, more than just having experience with Tuner Studio, you want someone who specifies in tuning the type of car that you're looking to have tuned. Like in my instance, it's an NA Miata with running Mega Squirt and has a turbocharger on it. Um, so I mean that's basically what you want to look for with a remote tuner. You also want somebody who's more mature, reliable, and is looking at this as an actual business. The other thing you want to look for, like I was saying, with what you're looking for in a remote tuner is somebody who's taking this seriously. You don't want some fly-by-night guy. You don't want somebody who's not going to get back to you. Originally, I had someone do my idle tuning on my car, and I tried to get a hold of him multiple times after that, and he didn't reply to my texts. I mean, that's unprofessional. And I prefer someone who, if you send him a text and you want to set up a time and date to do this, then someone who's going to respond rapidly, they're going to be reliable, and you really want to look for somebody who's reliable and mature enough to take this seriously. I mean, obviously, if they don't know what they're doing, or if they're not going to take it seriously, there's nothing to prevent them from blowing up your car, and that's the last thing that anyone wants. Okay, what do you need to do remote tuning? Well, first thing, you need to have one of the ECUs that you want to have programmed. Obviously, you need a car, so obviously, Captain Obvious. Main things that you need are, you're going to need a current version of Tuner Studio, because all of those computer systems all use Tuner Studio. You're going to need a way of connecting to the ECU, and usually that means an adapter for your USB. You should probably already have that. If you've already set up the Mega Squirt or the Speeduino, you should already have that stuff. But basically, you're going to need a laptop, and you're also going to need to download a version of TeamViewer. And that's what the remote tuner is going to use in order to take control of your computer and manipulate things on Tuner Studio. So that, at a very minimum, is what you need. You're going to need the time to do it, so you're going to need to, set aside a few hours. As far as how long it takes, you can, if you have someone who's competent and deals with tuning the type of car that you're doing, they can pretty much knock out an entire tune in about maybe 2.5 hours. And that brings us to the next thing that you need. How much does it cost? It runs around $25-$30 an hour is what I've found with most remote tuners. And that's pretty reasonable, especially when you take into consideration that an actual dyno, it's going to run you about $500 for about an hour of a tuning session. So the price is definitely there. The other advantage you have of tuning this remotely is that you're going to be tuning it on the street. Now, if you go to a dyno, you're primarily going to be tuning for power. And if you want to fine tune for power after you do the remote tuning on the street, that's fine. But personally, I think that remote tuning is actually more practical because, the remote tuner is going to sort out your idle. That's one of the most important things. It's going to sort out regular driving on the street, because basically that's how you're going to drive it. You're going to take it out on the street, either staying connected to him by way of a hotspot on your phone, or you might just do what I do a lot of the times is you'll take it out and he'll be logging it. He'll set the mega logger for to log the run. You basically go drive it around, you bring it back, and he'll adjust the various tables on there. Your ignition table for your timing. He'll adjust your AFR tables and your VE tables. And what he's going to do is going to look at, when you get back, he's going to read the map that you've logged and see where he needs to make adjustments in order to get more power. He's going to ask you questions of how did that feel and where did it feel like it was maybe dropping off. Did it stall out when you came to a stop? All stuff like this. But overall, it'll take about maybe 2.5 hours, maybe 3 if you have some other issues or additional things that you want to sort out. But you're going to be tuning on the road, so it's good to have someone with you to hold the laptop while you're doing it, while you're driving around, so you don't have to worry about it, falling off the seat and whatnot. And so yeah, about 2.5 hours. You can generally get it sorted. What results can you expect to have? You can expect some really good results, especially if you have someone who knows what the hell they're doing, and you can expect pretty close to what you could expect on a fixed dyno. Only this is going to actually be more practical because it's going to be related to driving on the street, which is the majority of where you're going to do. And you can tune for power on the street. It's a little bit more difficult, and you might want to actually have the remote tuner using your phone as a hotspot so he can stay connected to you while you're tuning for power. But in general, you're probably going to go out and come back, have him read the maps and read your maps, and adjust them as needed in order to get the results that you're after. Let's see. One thing you need to do is, before you call your remote tuner up and have him start tuning your car has to be tip top. You can't have vacuum leaks. You can't be running on, just sorting a lot of stuff out and adding a lot of stuff. Like, you should have the car sorted out properly and running properly before you want to have it tuned. Like, you should already have the timing synced with the Megasquirt before you do this. I mean, a lot of basic stuff. Don't have like fuel leaks, don't have exhaust leaks, don't have vacuum leaks. Make sure that the car is in good condition and capable of doing more than running to the market without breaking down. Because the thing is once you start tuning this, all that stuff's going to bubble up to the surface. Like, don't add a lot of stuff. Don't make a lot of changes before you remote tune either, because if any one of those things that you have issues with, when you're remote tuning, that's not the time to find out. And you're going to be basically wasting the remote tuner's time and your own money when you do this, because, I mean, he's basically not going to stop the clock. If you have an issue, basically what you want to do is arrange to have him tune it at a later date after you've sorted these issues out. So the car has to be up to snuff, and it's like going to a dyno day and slapping some new parts on right before you dyno. Nobody wants to wait around for you to have issues from those parts. So make sure that the car is squared away before you start your remote tuning session. And that's kind of about it. I have used a couple of remote tuners. Like I said, when I was talking about what you were looking for in a remote tuner, you want someone who's reliable. You want someone who's experienced, especially experienced in whatever particular car you're tuning. The guy that I use, he tunes about 4 or 5 turbocharged Miatas a week. So that's pretty good. I mean, you don't want somebody who, I've tuned a turbo Miata and everything else has been Subaru or whatever. I'd be ishy about, question that. But I'm not sponsored by it, and he hasn't given me any spiffs or anything, but at this point I'll say who I have tuned my turbocharged Miata, and that's on Facebook. You can find him. It's Steve's Remote Tuning on Facebook. So if you go on Facebook and search Steve's Remote Tuning, he's in Tampa, Florida. So if that's any consideration, if you might be close to him, or you'll need to know what time zone he's in so you can arrange to get it done, I can highly recommend him. Like I said, he tunes 4 or 5 turbocharged Miatas every week, and he's very professional. His results are very, very good, and he really knows what he's doing. So that should about wrap it up. I don't think, if you have any questions in addition to this, just go ahead and leave them in the comments below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I see it. But that's pretty much what you should need to know if you're looking to remote tune your car. And take it easy.